Jex,
Hey, good evening.
good evening to you. How are you doing?
I'm all right, thank you. How are you?
Doing all right. Have you ever been here before?
I yeah, I viewed it live a few weeks ago, I think.
Okay. So you know how to answer the question and or how to ask the question. Do you want me to go over that again?
Please.
Okay. So it's more of an open-ended. It's more of a how or a what question, more based on you, not a third party. So it's more how can you release something? How can you attract something? What is your next step to achieve financial freedom? Um, what is something that you need to pay attention to at your job or in your creative life, or what is your next step, or what, that kind of a thing. What is something that you need to do to
I
move
think
forward?
that I've been really thinking about how do I hold space for boundaries.
There you go. All right, how does Jonathan hold space for boundaries? Oh, yeah, I thought Christina has she said chocolate fudge swirl ice cream. I was like, that's how you hold space for boundaries. It's one of the comments that we just got.
I ask me.
How do you hold space for boundaries? How should Jonathan be holding space for boundaries? Let's do this a little bit closer. How should Jonathan be holding space for his boundaries?
That
We'll
works.
get it even closer. We'll get it really close. How should Jonathan be holding space for his boundaries? Really good question. That's like, we're gonna get really deep with this one. Let's see. What does how should Jonathan hold space for his boundaries? Okay. Has something come to an end recently that you haven't quite accepted yet?
No, not really. Not that I can think of.
Okay. So then I'm going to change that a little bit to this. I'm getting your astrology stuff here. So we have, I really want you to pay attention to your emotions um, with your boundaries. Not even like when something feels like it's crossing a boundary for you, I want you to take a pause and be like, how do I feel about that? um, whether that's a person, whether that is your job, whether that is just like I got a bill in the mail and that's rubbing me the wrong way. For whatever reason, I kind of just want you to take a pause whenever you're feeling kind of the ick, whatever that is, and just kind of like, where is that ick coming from? Is kind of what I want you to kind of um, focus on whenever you kind of get that boundary that's being rubbed up against the wrong way or the right way. Who knows? Because you got the King of Cups.
All right.
With the King of Cups, he's not overly emotional, but he has more control of his emotions. When we're looking at the King of Cups in reverse, that can be the emotions have more control over him. So since we've asked how you can hold space for your own boundaries, we want to make sure that you are in more control of your emotions and not letting your emotions control you. And also, if you look at him, he's sitting down. So it's more of like he's able to take a pause when he needs to and guide his kingdom through his emotions to make sure that everyone at least understands why he's feeling the way that he's feeling. And they may not agree with it, but it's more of like holding space for the emotion and knowing that the feelings are valid. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
So the reason why I asked earlier about if there's a something that's come to an end that you haven't quite accepted yet, I got the 10 of Wands and it's in reverse. So when tens are a completion card, and when tens come up in the end of, or when tens are a completion card, and when tens come up reversed, to me it says that there's an ending that's come that the querent has not quite accepted yet. Um, because a reverse card is blocked, delayed, healing, or internal energy, it does kind of feel like maybe there is you're holding on to too, like if you're looking at this card, if you look at it this way, he's carrying too much. He's carrying a lot of things on the outside,
Yeah.
straining himself to get to his end over here. But we've got it reversed. And like I mentioned, we've got blocked, delayed, healing, or internal energy. So I feel like if you're struggling with your boundaries, it almost feels like you're holding other people's boundaries and not holding yours. It almost feels like you're holding everyone else's shit on your back. And it's not just like physical, it's actually internal. Like you've taken on other people's limiting beliefs that are not yours. And that's what you probably need to work on releasing. You need to start understanding what emotion that is and where those emotions are coming from, and probably even who those emotions are coming from. Most likely they're coming from your parents or your mentors or people you were learning from. But that you want to try to separate yourself from all of whatever people have told you to, like, I would do this because this is what I did in my day. Well, that's what you did. I'm going to do this for me. That's your thing. That's not my thing. Like, you need to, with this, I just kind of feel like you're holding on to too many other people's beliefs and not your own. You don't really know what to believe in yourself at the moment. With blocked, delayed, healing, I think it's more internal. That's what I'm kind of getting from this. It just feels more, because it's not blocking. There might be something that will come up soon about an ending that you might want to, like, let's say something does end in the near future and you're like, whoa, why, like, that ends. But when that does come up, try to ask yourself why you don't want that to end, or why that feeling came up. And that's probably what some of this might be as well. And get to a point to where you can flip this card over, because the minute that you can flip this card over, it's a lot easier. How do I show this off? It's a lot easier to hold. I do this. If I have 10 wands here on the outside, it's a lot easier for me to do this physically than it is on the inside. We all have emotions that we want to hold on to. But so since we're holding on to these emotions that are not ours, the minute that you can kind of recognize which emotions are yours and which emotions are not yours, or which things or which fiery items, which passions are yours, you can actually decide which one of these wands are actually yours or somebody else's. And you can drop 5 of them. And maybe 5 of them are no longer serving you and they were somebody else's. Wands are the fire of the tarot. That's our passions and creativity. So it almost just kind of feels like you're holding on to other people's passions and not holding on to yours, or giving your own boundaries. Like, let's say for yourself, if you want to be a pottery person. Let's just say pottery is one of your boundary or one of your creativity things that you have going on, because wands is creativity. If you sign up for a class on Wednesday nights, you want people to know, I'm not available Wednesday nights because I have pottery. That's what I do. That's who I am. That's what I'm passionate about. You don't want to get to people to say, oh, come on, come out and come. You want to find people who support you in your pottery journey.
Sure. Yeah. That example resonates. I get that one.
So that's kind of how, and that's even if it's not even a class, like even if it's just something at home, like sometimes for me, I have to be like, I want to learn calligraphy. So I have to spend Tuesday night at home sometimes all by myself, even though I have no class, working on my calligraphy because I want to do that.
Right.
But if someone's going to say, come on out, you can do that later, come out. I'm like, no, this is my boundary. This is what I need to do for me. Not you. You want me to come out, but this is what I need for me right now. And that's how you kind of hold space for your boundaries that you were asking earlier. But again, make sure that your emotions are valid. Know that your emotions are valid. Know that whatever you're feeling is valid. It's not invalid. And just make sure that you know that you're holding on to your own creativity and your own beliefs and your own where you want to go in life, so that when you can flip this over and you can recognize, oh, that's not my belief, that's somebody else's, you can drop it without having too much emotion that's going to attach onto it. It's just going to kind of slide off your back, kind of a thing. Now, astrology-wise, Gonna be a lot because you've got half the zodiac. It's the minor arcana is associated. Doesn't have the deck that I have. Okay, let me rewind. I'm not a strong astrology person. I don't know it very well. I'm trying. I've read 700-page books and nothing. It just all goes through my head. So I have a book, or not a book. I have a deck, and the deck shows me what signs are associated with each
Yeah.
card. So
I have that deck. I like that deck.
yeah, and so that's the way how I've used it. I know kind of the basics of astrology, but it's just I kind of like to give the querent something to. I don't want to say homework. What is it? I was calling it homework before, and we changed it. It was that's why I call it astrology insights, kind of just an insight for you to take home with you. So when you're going home and reflecting over this reading, or you're probably home now, but when we're done with the reflecting, when you're done with the reading and we're reflecting, look over Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces, because Cups is associated with water and our emotions. And then you also want to pay attention to Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius, because that's what's associated with the Ten of Wands, and it's also associated with fire. So what you've also kind of got is fire and water going on as well. So it almost seems like you need to find some sort of a balance between being hot and cold.
Yeah.
A balance between masculine and feminine. See where your boundaries are. How hot are you willing to go? How cold are you willing to go? And just kind of like find lukewarm. So that I think that's where your boundary would be a little bit more happier to be around. That makes sense.
Yeah, I get that, and like that's funny with like the fire and the water and that association because like my natal chart actually has a lot of fire and water placement, so it's interesting.
I think that's mostly. I have one more thought too with this Ten of Wands. So Wands is like I said, our creative passion and energy. Wands also sometimes has a tendency to not be very stable because we just want to do something creatively just to do it. I kind of feel like that might be what's also blocking you is because you're thinking too hard about you're holding too much of your creativity inside and not releasing it out of yourself, which is probably you're holding on to a lot of stuff. So let's try to focus on releasing some of that artistry. I don't even know if I said that right. Artistry, and letting it out into the world. I don't know if you're an artist or what, but I just something artistic, something passionate that you're passionate about. Don't hold it in. Like let it out. Let other people know what you're passionate about. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Other than that, I think that's pretty much what I have for you. What I do want to, I guess, one last thought as I'm kind of closing, I've got is this King of Cups and the 10. Kings are, so there's cycles that are, tarot has cycles in it. We got Ace to 10, and then the signs that are the Page, Knight, Queen, King is also a cycle. Because you're at a king, which is the end of a cycle, and you also have a 10, which is the end of a cycle, it seems like you might be gearing up once you kind of put some more boundaries in place. You might be gearing up for a new journey, a new page arena, a new place where you can start learning about yourself. And also with the 10 of Wands, flipping over, you can change it to the Ace of Wands, and that's going to be also a new journey of being able to go off and find out what your creativity is.
Mm-hmm.
So just keep that in mind. Like it seems like once you kind of get that boundary of what that boundary is, you can actually start saying no to things or actually understanding more about what your boundaries are. And once you understand that, you'll probably start going on into a new emotional journey, learning some new emotions, learning some new creativity, and having some new passions.
All right. Thank you.
Is that helpful?
Yeah, I like that deck too. Is that the one that's also just right behind your head? What is the name of the deck you're using? I like it quite a bit.
Yeah, this is the
up one.
It's the Winter Rider Waite.
Oh, and that is what you're using?
Yep, this is the one that I'm using.
That's fun. I like it.
I have
colorful.
3 or 4 different Christmas decks, and this one I think was an indie one.
Mm-hmm.
From Tarot Collectibles, I think, from there. And I wanted to get a Christmas one, and so I think
it's fun. I'm glad you used that one. I liked it.
I have a Yule one. I have another one that's like Santa's Elves or something, but it was a knockoff deck, and I don't really like to use knockoff decks because I didn't know it was a knockoff deck when I bought it.
That's kind of funny.
But so I want to try to find the actual deck. Yeah, so I like to give artists and authors their respect that they need instead of using knockoff decks.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. I guess give me a follow. I don't know if you have or not. And then if you have another question later, feel free to hop on. I go live on Tuesdays from 8 to 10. And we can
All right.
go from there.
Thank you.
All right. You have a great night, and I
You too.
hope you want to know live soon.
All right.
Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye. All right, so we've got Jonathan did that. We got that one. I think that's all I had so far. Yes. Yes. So do we have anybody else that's wanted to come on? We've got Fudge Squirrel, Christina. Yep, Vicky. Hello, Vicky. We are doing some tarot. I'm having